Do you know what your values are? You know, sometimes it can drive us crazy when there's people who it seems like you can't talk to them rationally. It appears that either they are crazy or they just don't care about whatever it is that you care about. And you might really disagree with them, and sometimes we fall into the trap of demonizing those people. Well, demonizing them is a big distraction because really that person isn't that different from you. One of the key areas where you guys are alike is that you both have values that you live by. The question is, are those values aligned with each other or are they different? And another question to ask is, are you conscious of what your values are? A lot of people might kind of hand wave the question and say, of course I am. But I would submit that a lot of people are not as clear and not as conscious on their values as they might assume without any investigation. And either way, I think it's really good to touch base on your values periodically, maybe even once a year. Um, we make promises to ourselves when we have certain values that are important to us along the way in life. A lot of times people make promises to themselves to never stray from that value, to never give up on that. So what I'm suggesting is to take some time, maybe like 15, 20 minutes, to really think about it with a pencil and a pen or a computer or smartphone, and to maybe just write down top five values. If you can make a hierarchy of it, then that's even better. Um, and then reflect on how these values affect the way that you perceive the world. Reflect on how these values might make you feel that some things are unfair, and you know, just get curious about it. Just look at it. See, is there anything that, like, how is this become conscious? This is all about becoming conscious of your own values and how they are running the show on a thought-based level. Your thoughts, your framing, your identity, your just perception in general is shaped by your values. But a lot of people aren't even clear on what those values are, or if they're maybe these values are something that can be redefined. But also back to my original point that I was starting to fledge out a little bit is everyone has different values, and that's explains a lot of their behavior. If you disagree with somebody and you might think that it's just like, how can they think that way? Whatever that might be. It could be a religious thing or a political thing, or it could be cultural thing or anything. Um, the more conscious and aware you are of your values and how they are running the show, the more appreciation and curiosity you will have about the values of the person that you're talking with. Because Values are really they're arbitrary, and good and bad and right and wrong, they're relative. It's right to respect people and to have empathy and to not be too self-centered. If you value having a clean conscience, if you value being a good role model, if you value a society where people get a fair chance for happiness and success. But some people don't value that. You know, it's the thing is like it's really tough because they might have values that are just plain non not progressive for humanity. They might have values, screw the other guy. Um, I'm not gonna have empathy, like they should pull them up by their bootstraps or whatever it is. But the thing is like even though that person has the 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 right to believe and think whatever they want, because really we're all just making our lives up with our beliefs, and we're starting in the middle of the ocean with our belief systems in the sense that there's no there's no ground. We invent the ground, we invent the structure, we invent everything with our thoughts and our minds and our beliefs. So no one belief system is really better than another, but some belief systems will be shooting yourself in the foot in an unintended way. That's one thing. Uh, so like, yeah, some guy can just have some really mean, uh, selfish values. You know, um, all the power to them, but those values, but they might also value living a long life, long, prosperous life. And their values of being mean, if everybody valued that, then society may collapse. Um, Certain systems that may be in place to help people's survival may collapse. Maybe that person's life is shortened or made more miserable because of the values that they stuck by. So some values are just not self-beneficial. I mean, you might value not being self-beneficial, so that if that not many people are going to want that. Most people don't value suffering. Um, at least in the sense that that's like what they strive towards. I guess some people might in certain kinds of ways. Maybe there could be some self-flagellation going on too with some people that, that's one thing. But generally speaking, some value systems seem to be more beneficial for the one holding the values. So that's something to consider. The other thing too is if you're part of a society or a part of a country, um, and you value something destructive and bad for that society and that civilization, um, you can't really expect anybody to permit your behavior that stems from those values, um, when you're also reaping the benefits of living in a society that you know gives you access to public roads, public schools, public uh, police departments, fire departments, hospitals, doctors, medicine, you name it. So it's like if you're getting all those benefits, then you can't just like behave in a way that's expressing your values if it's hurting society. And that should be understood. So values, in a way, good and bad is relative, but in a pragmatic sense, certain values are going to be better for the host of the values. And I think that if everybody adopts some sort of values that are good for themselves, then we're going to live in a better society. But I don't think that there's a real right or wrong about it. But yeah, what I would suggest doing is writing out your values, becoming more conscious of how these values shape your perception and your behavior, and check back in with this periodically and be open to being fluid about your values. You know, sometimes you have new data that you didn't have before when you valued certain things. This is what keeps people growing. If people were more conscious about things like this, and they were more cognizant of how, even though good and bad is relative and that values are arbitrary, there are some that seem to have more of a pragmatic, positive effect than others. That's a good thing to be cognizant of. Um, yeah, and if people were more just open to being adapting to new data, then we would live in I think, a much more flexible, happy society. And that's a lot to ask, but the thing is that I don't feel like what I'm talking about here is really valued by our society as a whole, even on a government level. So it takes some sort of the values of the people who are running the government needs to be more pragmatic for in a good way for the whole society in order for people to start to get some loose guidance in the right direction. But I'm not in any way saying that everybody should have the same values. I don't think that that's right. There are just so many different ways that people can interface and value life, and that's okay. But I do think that it's good to understand that other people have different values and that's why they seem to be behaving so different. B, it's good to empathize with that because you're no different in a certain sense. And C, to evaluate and to bring consciousness into your values so that you can be more aware of how your behavior is driven. So, yeah, if you like this video, then please hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, then please hit the subscribe button. And if you have anything you want to say, then please comment down below. If you know anybody who might like this, then please share it. And if you want to get notifications whenever I drop new content, then hit the little bell button. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.